What if every year, on the same day, you found a mysterious gift waiting for you, but no one would tell you who it's from? What if those gifts weren't just presents, but pieces of a hidden past someone was desperate to keep secret? What would you do if the person watching over you was someone you thought you'd lost forever? Sometimes, the most ordinary lives hide the most extraordinary stories. Stay with me, because this is a journey of mystery, betrayal, and the fight to find the truth and yourself. The neon sign of Sunrise Diner buzzed faintly, its amber glow slicing to the fog that clung to Lakewood's empty streets. At 5 a.m., the world was still asleep, but Lily Anderson was already behind the counter, her hands moving mechanically, pouring coffee, wiping down menus, forcing smiles to the early truckers. Today was her 25th birthday, but the weight in her chest wasn't about turning older. It was the gift. It would come, as it had every year since she was 16, delivered to her doorstep in the dead of night, wrapped in pristine paper, no name, no note. A gold locket at 16, a diamond bracelet at 20, a vintage Cartier watch last year that could have paid her rent for months. Each one was a silent taunt, a puzzle she couldn't solve. Who was watching her? Lily's life was a tightrope of struggle. Long shifts at the diner, medical bills piling up for her mother Grace's failing lungs, a cramped apartment that smelled of mildew. The gifts were an anomaly, a glittering intrusion into her world of grease stains and loose change. She'd asked Grace about them once years ago, but her mother's face had hardened, her voice sharp. Don't waste your time on mysteries, Lily. Focus on what's real. The dismissal stung, but it also hinted at a secret Grace wouldn't share. Today, as Lily scrubbed a stubborn stain off the counter, the question burned brighter than ever. What kind of person gives such extravagance and stays hidden? As the breakfast rush faded, Lily checked her phone. A notification from her apartment security camera pinged. 3:02 a.m. A figure in a hooded coat had left a package at her door. Her stomach twisted. The camera's grainy footage showed no face, just a shadow moving with purpose. She hadn't told anyone, not even Tara, her best friend and the diner's short-order cook, that it was her birthday. Whoever this was, they knew too much. The thought sent a chill down her spine, but curiosity pulled harder. She needed to know. That evening, Lily trudged home through Lakewood's quiet streets, the package waiting like a sentinel on her doorstep. Silver paper, black ribbon, flawless as always. She hesitated, her fingers brushing the wrapping. What if this was a mistake? A prank? Or something darker? She tore it open. Inside a velvet box lay a sapphire pendant, its deep blue glinting like a secret whispered in the dark. A small card slipped out and Lily's breath caught. For the first time, there was writing, 3 words in elegant script. You are enough. Her heart raced. This wasn't just a gift. It was a message. But from who? And why now? She slipped the pendant into her pocket and sat on her sagging couch, staring at the card. Grace was asleep in the next room, her coughs a faint rhythm through the thin walls. Lily wanted to storm in and demand answers, but Grace's fragility stopped her. Instead, she turned to the one clue she clung to for years, her father, Martin Rutherford. Grace rarely spoke of him, offering only fragments, a wealthy man, a scandal, a disappearance when Lily was a baby. He's gone and good riddance, Grace would say, her eyes distant. But the gifts had started when Lily was 16, the year she'd first asked about him. Coincidence? She didn't think so. At the library the next day, Lily searched Martin Rutherford's name, her hands trembling on the keyboard. The results painted a vivid picture. A real estate tycoon who'd built an empire in the 90s, his name tied to luxury high-rises and exclusive deals. But the story darkened. Allegations of fraud, money laundering, a federal investigation that ended with his vanishing act. A grainy photo showed a man with a sharp jaw, piercing eyes, and a smile that didn't reach them. The most recent article, from 3 years ago, mentioned a rumored sighting in Zurich, but nothing concrete. Lily's pulse quickened. Could he be alive? Watching her? Sending the gifts? That night, she confronted Grace. Mama, these gifts, they started when I asked about my father. Is it him? Is it Martin? Grace's face paled, her hands clutching her mug so tightly it shook. "I don't know, Lily," she whispered, but her voice cracked, betraying her. "Let it go." Lily pressed, her voice rising. "I deserve to know. Why won't you tell me?" Grace stood, her chair scraping, and shuffled her room without another word. Lily was left alone, the sapphire pendant heavy in her pocket, her questions unanswered. A letter arrived, not at her apartment, but slipped under the diner's door, addressed to her in that same elegant script. It was an invitation to a private meeting at a law office downtown, signed by Evelyn Carter. ESQ no explanation, just a date and time. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Lily's heart pounded. This was no coincidence. She called Tara, who leaned against the diner's counter, flipping a spatula. "Go, Lil. You've been chasing this ghost forever. But be careful, this smells like trouble." Lily nodded, her resolve hardening. She was done waiting for answers. The law office was sleek, all glass and steel, a world away from the diner's chipped formica. Evelyn Carter, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, greeted Lily with a measured smile. "Ms. Anderson, thank you for coming. Someone has been waiting to meet you." Before Lily could ask who, the door opened and a man stepped in. Tall, silver-haired, with those piercing eyes from a photo. Martin Rutherford. Time stopped. Lily's breath caught, her body rooted to the chair. He looked at her, his expression a mix of regret and something softer, and said, "Lily, I'm your father." The words hit like a freight train. Anger, confusion, and a traitorous flicker of longing surged through her. "Why now?" she managed, her voice barely a whisper. Martin sat, his hands clasped tightly. He spoke slowly, as if each word cost him. He'd left when Lily was a baby, he said, to shield her and Grace from his crumbling empire. Fraud allegations, lawsuits, enemies in high places. He'd fled to protect them, or so he claimed. The gifts were his way of staying connected, sent through intermediaries to keep his distance. "I was a coward," he admitted, his voice low, "but I never stopped thinking about you." He paused, then dropped a bombshell. He'd transferred a small property to her name, a plot of land outside Lakewood. "It's yours, Lily. A start if you'll take it." Lily's mind reeled. This man, this stranger, was her father, and he'd been watching her from the shadows for years. She wanted to scream, to demand why he'd abandoned her, why he'd let Grace struggle alone. Instead, she said, "You think land and jewelry fixed 25 years? Martin flinched, but his eyes held hers. "No, but I'm trying. I'm back now, and I'm facing what I ran from." He revealed he was turning himself in, cooperating with the feds to clear his name. But there was a catch. His return had stirred old enemies, and his trial would be a media circus. The revelation shattered Lily's world. She returned to the diner, her thoughts a storm. Martin was her father, but he was also a fugitive, a man whose empire was collapsing under fresh charges of financial misconduct. Days later, the news broke. Martin Rutherford arrested, facing federal charges. Reporters swarmed, digging into Lily's connection to him. A tabloid headline screamed, "Tycoon's secret daughter revealed." She dodged their calls, but the central question haunted her. Could she forgive a man who'd abandoned her, even if he was trying to make amends? Grace's health worsened, her coughs now a constant rasp. Lily used some of the gift money, guilt gnawing at her, to cover hospital bills. She enrolled in community college, studying botany to honor Grace's love of gardening. But the trial loomed like a storm cloud. Martin's lawyers asked her to testify, to speak to his character. She wrestled with the decision, torn between resentment and a fragile hope of understanding him. A package arrived, not a gift but a folder of documents, left anonymously at the diner. Inside were bank statements, emails, and a handwritten note. "He's not what he seems. Trust carefully." The documents hinted at a deeper conspiracy. Martin's business partners, not just him, had orchestrated the fraud, and someone was desperate to keep it buried. Lily's trust wavered. Was Martin's remorse genuine, or was he playing her? She confronted Evelyn Carter, who admitted the documents pointed to a rival tycoon, Victor Klein, who'd profited from Martin's downfall. Klein was untouchable, his name absent from the trial, but the documents suggested he'd threatened Martin to stay silent. Lily faced a choice, expose the truth and risk her safety, or stay quiet and let Martin take the fall. In court, she took the stand, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "He left us," she said. "He sent gifts, but never his heart. I don't know if he's a good man, but he's trying to be." She slipped in a reference to the documents, careful not to name Klein, planting a seed for the prosecution to dig deeper. The courtroom buzzed, and Martin's eyes met hers, a flicker of gratitude in them. He was convicted on lesser charges, sentenced to 5 years, but the documents sparked a new investigation into Klein. Grace passed away months later, her hand in Lily's, a faint smile on her lips. The loss gutted Lily, but also steeled her resolve. She poured herself into the property Martin had given her, a barren plot she transformed with Tara's help and the support of Lakewood's community. They planted wildflowers, built greenhouses, and created a community space called Grace's Bloom, a tribute to her mother's love of growth and resilience. The farm became a haven, hosting gardening classes and dinners under the stars. Lily studied at night, her dreams of a botany degree taking root. Martin wrote from prison, his letters cautious but raw. He spoke of regret, of the empire he'd built on lies, of the daughter he'd failed. "I don't expect forgiveness," he wrote, "but I'm proud of you." Lily replied sparingly, each letter a step toward an imperfect connection. They met once, through a glass partition, his face older but softer. "You're stronger than I ever was," he said. She didn't forgive him, not fully, but she let go of the anger, choosing to build instead of break. One spring evening, as Grace's Bloom burst with color, Lily stood among the wildflowers, a letter from Martin in her hand. He was due for release soon, and he'd asked to visit the farm. She folded the letter, her heart steady. She'd invite him, not as a father, but as a man trying to make amends. The farm was her legacy, not his, a symbol of her resilience, her mother's love, and the community that held her up. Grace's Bloom thrived, a beacon of hope in Lakewood, and Lily stood at its heart, unbowed by betrayal or loss. To you, reading this story, if Lily's journey of healing and strength resonates, share it with others. Like and subscribe to the stories that remind us to keep going, to grow beyond the past. Lily's life was proof. Forgiveness isn't about erasing pain. It's about building a future stronger than the scars. She'd faced the mystery of the gifts, uncovered her father's truth, and chosen her own path. The ending was clear. She was whole, not because of Martin, but because of herself. Ready